Time for a quick commercial.
That's right, Ellie. This episode is brought to you by Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. And they'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere. Places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. To get started, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm today.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. It's time for my daddy's podcast.
Welcome to the Lessons for Success podcast. I'm your host, Adam Wardlaw, middle school science teacher and high school football coach in South Carolina, USA. Thank you for tuning into the podcast heard by nearly 3,000 people across 17 countries, as well as almost every state here in America. These episodes are intended to be short and beneficial lessons to help you get more out of your life. You can keep up with the show on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and even TikTok by searching at L4S Show. And remember, that's the number 4. If you're listening on an iPhone, go ahead and give the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts to help keep our growing community going. Now let's start the show. In life, you may have noticed that people will tend to follow the crowd or go with the flow. But did you know it's because humans are wired to be this way? We've all heard of the consequences of negative peer pressure, but in this episode we'll discuss how a network can benefit you as well. Welcome back, everybody. It's time for Tuesday Tips here on the Lessons for Success show. I teach middle school, and I always stress to my students how friend groups can help you or hurt you reach your goals. This principle applies to adults as well, though. Did you know that humans are wired in their brains to follow the herd, so to speak? Back before civilizations, when man was simply hunters and gatherers, we often felt safe when traveling with the tribe. We all heard in school that the wrong friends will rope us into bad habits that can harm us. But studies found that having close friends involved in positive behaviors also rubbed off on others. Friends that frequent a gym will likely influence you to work out more as well. So what are some things you should look for when deciding who to network with and develop into your friend group? Try these tips for developing a network that will benefit you. Tip number 1, know your goals and find others who model those same results. Are you interested in a certain hobby? Well, you need to be on the lookout for people who are also sharing that practice. When you can surround yourself with like-minded people who value the same things, then everyone will benefit from those relationships. But where can you find these people? That's where our next tip comes in. Number 2, search for groups that share common interests. Whether it's a group that meets at the local YMCA or at a restaurant downtown, there are groups that feature people who care about similar things. Use Google or Facebook to search your area for groups that meet or converse about goals or topics that are relative to what you would like to do or what you aspire to be. Number 3, be authentic and be yourself. When you begin to interact with others the first time, it may be intimidating. Know that people you're interacting with share your interests, so go ahead and dive into those conversations. Most importantly, you shouldn't be someone you're not. Everyone's unique, so don't conform your values just to blend in with the crowd. So there you have it, everybody. 3 tips to keep in mind when you're trying to develop a friend group that will have a positive impact on you. Whether you're in middle school trying to figure out where you fit in, or an adult trying to have more fulfillment in your life, hopefully these tips can come in handy so that you can develop a network. That's all the time I have on today's episode. What are some ways that your friends have impacted your life, good or bad? Reach out to the show on social media and let me know. I'll talk to you guys next time on the next episode of the Lessons for Success podcast. Well, folks, that's it for another edition of the Lessons for Success podcast. Thank you for listening. Remember that you can keep up with the show wherever podcasts are found, as well as the newly updated Lessons for Success YouTube channel. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok to keep up with more content from the show. If you haven't already done so, give the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. That's all the time I have for today. Be sure to tune in for the next episode of the Lessons for Success show.